Hey, welcome to this Get Fit with Jodelle mini episode, which is kind of a prodcast, if you will, a product that I love. I'm going to be talking about Transdermal Magnesium, something I use every day, and I'm going to be showcasing my favorite product for that. So from time to time, I like to share my favorite things, and that's what I'll be doing on this episode, and interviewing someone who is a friend of mine who knows a lot about transdermal magnesium. So you might find that this product works really well in your healthy regimen as well. So check it out, listen in, and enjoy this episode. Thanks for listening. Okay, well, welcome to the Get Fit with Jodelle podcast. I am, as usual, Jodelle, and from time to time, I love to share my favorite things. So sometimes through my newsletter, my blog posts on my website, and also here on the podcast. And so that's what this podcast is all about. I'm going to share with you the most current book that I'm reading, and I'm loving this book. And this book also spurred me on to want to talk about another one of my favorite things, which is magnesium. So I've got a special guest that's joining me today that's going to help me enlighten you to the benefits of magnesium. But first, just to talk briefly about this book that I'm reading, which is called Cure, and it's actually intended to be the letters Cu at the beginning, which stands on the periodic table of elements as copper. So this is by Morley Robbins, and it's a book called Cure Your Fatigue. So I'm sure a lot of you Ray Peat followers are familiar with Morley Robbins. He's a brilliant writer, because this book is, if you're boring like me when it comes to books and you love to read about one subject, which is copper, then you'll love this book. But the benefits of magnesium are also mentioned in this book, because, now let me just read you a quick little insert here about copper deficiency and magnesium deficiency. So heart symptoms are not caused by magnesium deficiency, but a copper deficiency, causing iron overload in the tissues of the heart and the blood vessels. And then that causes the loss of magnesium. So really, when we're talking magnesium deficiency, we need to be looking at copper, which is why I love this book. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because in my practice and in the people I talk to, I'm seeing a lot of magnesium deficiency. So while it does go back to let's up our copper, and there's certain ways we can do that, we really need to look at supplementing magnesium along the way. And the benefits of magnesium are vast, like I mentioned, being responsible for 80% of the body's metabolic processes, including regular bowel movements. You love the when I talk about poop, I know, since magnesium pulls water into the bowels, really important. It lowers high blood pressure in numerous studies. And a deficiency could be the reason why many people suffer from undue anxiety, since magnesium is our calming mineral. Okay, so I've found that topical magnesium is sometimes the most effective way to absorb magnesium. I've had people that can't take a supplemental magnesium because it makes their bowels too loose. So for those individuals, I like to look at a topical magnesium. Now let's talk briefly about dosage here. So how do you dose magnesium? Dosages, with regards to what Morley Robbins says in his book, is 5 milligrams per pound of body weight, or 10 milligrams per pound for kilograms of body weight. For example, a 200-pound person would roughly want to consume, maybe this person's 90 kilograms, about 1,000 milligrams of magnesium a day for that 200-pound or 90-kilogram person. And Dr. Morley also talks in his book about how our magnesium burn rate, or the rate at which you burn through your stores of magnesium based on your stress, your activity level, your mental decision making, and much more, are affected daily, which is why we really want to bring in magnesium daily. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the benefits of magnesium through a topical application for those people that are struggling to take in a supplemental magnesium. I actually love topical just as much as taking it orally, maybe even more. So the best source I have found is why I'm bringing on one of my friends here to help you understand topical magnesium, because this lady, she knows her stuff about it. She's actually created a product for it, which is one of my favorite things. So that's why I did that little spiel on magnesium. You guys can learn more about Morley's book, Cure Your Fatigue. But also, I'd like to introduce you to Rachel Albanese, founder of my newest favorite skincare line, Flo's Daughter. And Rachel has created my favorite topical magnesium lotion, which is very absorbable, and you can feel it almost instantaneously when you put it on. So Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jodelle. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. When I wanted to talk about magnesium, no better person to talk to than somebody who's created one of my favorite products to get it into the body. So Tell me about your topical magnesium. When it comes to topical magnesium, why did you choose the type that you chose, and how did you come up with this?
So I chose very carefully, number one, with my ingredients as the base source of this topical magnesium, along with where I was sourcing the magnesium. And I did learn a lot about different types of magnesium, where they're coming from. There could be contaminants in some of them. And you just got to go with what you trust and what I researched about certain sources. And one of them is through Ancient Minerals Magnesium, and no affiliation with them at all. It's just through my research, I learned that where they source this magnesium is a place where there's no contaminants. They test it for contaminants, and they have a pretty solid research on their website as to how they go about all of that to show that. So I chose that as my source of creating a magnesium brine with the magnesium flakes. And I've gone back and forth with different recipes as far as the consistency and what people would enjoy, and to avoid any chemicals, preservatives, or any of that. So that's how I finally developed my new and improved one, which is a coconut oil base along with shea butter and the brine that I make, and I emulsify it. And there's beeswax in it. So there is no preservatives, no chemicals. Everything is organic and unrefined. It doesn't need a preservative. Magnesium in of itself will stabilize the lotion, and it's all fat-based. So you don't need preservatives.
I love it. And yeah, the newest one that I got my hands on was such a nice natural smell. Like the coconut oil just has a really good natural smell. You didn't even have to add anything. And I've tried, I can't tell you how many topical magnesiums I've tried to where you're itchy, you're stinging, it's greasy. You get into bed and your sheets are covered with topical oil. And I'm like, did this even go in my body? But yours, it's like the best body lotion that you've ever put on. It glides right on, and you feel the tingling of the magnesium, but it's not like the burning pain, like even after you shave your legs or whatever. And then it really stays with you. The moisture does. Like the next morning I woke up and I just felt really moisturized, and I always put mine on in the evening after I take my shower. So yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because there is so many products out there. But sometimes when you have a personal experience and I have a favorite thing and I know it works and I know people are going to benefit from it, then that's why I wanted to talk about this specific magnesium. Because somebody with restless leg, with issues with twitching and muscle cramps, and maybe people that really overdo it in the gym, this is something I highly recommend putting on at least once a day, preferably before bed, like we talked about, since magnesium can help with sleep and it's really calming too. So now, what I love about your products is that they're so pure, you could potentially even eat them. Like all of the ingredients in there, it's like if I had a toddler and she got her hands on it, I wouldn't have to worry about her, me calling poison control or whatever. And that's the way it should be. Since we're so careful with what we put in our mouths, we need to be just as concerned about what we put into our skin, don't we?
Absolutely. And that is one of my biggest motivators for making these products, is that people need to understand that our skin, while it's our largest organ and it is a barrier to the outside world, it's meant to absorb, and we do absorb. Just like in medication and pharmaceuticals, when you're applying patches of medications on people's skin, it's absorbing. So while people understand that, they then are not understanding, well, wow, all of these other things I'm putting on me are also, they don't think it's being absorbed the same way, but it is. And it greatly affects us.
Sure. Yeah.
Personal experience as well.
Yeah. Did you have a personal experience you wanted to share about your own skin health?
Yeah, well, I have a couple of them. I have for a long time, after I realized that our bodies, our skin does absorb whatever it is that we put on it, I was in search for products that I could put on my skin, because I love lotion and I tend to have drier skin, although it's much better now with diet modifications and all of that. But I couldn't find anything. And I would just scour the internet and I would look at the ingredient list, and it just always had a preservative. It always had something. And so what I started to do is I said, forget it. I'm just buying a big tub of coconut oil, and I just would slather that on. But again, it didn't stay with me in it. Not that it stayed greasy, but it just wasn't as practical. And then I said, well, there's got to be another way. And simultaneously, I had a personal experience with my mother where she was really sick. She had a neurodegenerative disease called Parkinson's disease. And as I went down the rabbit hole with that disease to try to figure out maybe how I could help her and alleviate symptoms, I did recognize that a lot of things that we do put on our body are also, not only does it affect our gut as it goes through the bloodstream, but also can be neurotoxic. And that just goes from not only what you're putting on your skin, but what you're spraying into the air. Mm-hmm. So those were my motivators for actually finally making something and to give back and just talk to people about.
Love that.
And then my own personal experience, I used to suffer with migraines, and I just noticed my triggers were more with things with fragrances and nail salons and hair products. And I just got rid of all of that in my life, but I couldn't find anything that would, help with these triggers.
And that's excellent. I mean, that's why so many great products do come out that stay around, is because initially somebody had an issue and they're like, well, I can't find anything, so I'm going to have to find the solution myself. And that's really where it goes back to, we can be our own healer, we can be our own doctor, and we can find our own solutions if we're willing to look hard enough. So I appreciate that you were able to do that. Now, your ingredients have beef tallow, some of them, and you actually render your own beef tallow for these products too. So tell me, why do we want to put beef tallow on our skin? What are the benefits of that?
Yeah, I love beef tallow. And there's a little story behind that, because I make my own bone broth, and I use the bones I do have a farmer where I source our grass-fed, grass-finished meats. And when I would make this bone broth, I would then cool it down and always have this thick layer of fat. And I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I'm like, this is tallow. And it wasn't until I got into trying to create some of these skincare products that I learned more about it. And again, I was just like, what to use tallow for? And I recognized that there were things being made with tallow. So the benefits of tallow, especially from grass-fed, grass-finished cattle, number one, fat is where toxins are stored. So you definitely want to source from animals that have been grazed on grass that are not laden with pesticides and herbicides.
Sure.
And I further learned that it is very compatible with our skin. So not only on the outside of our skin, but the inside of our body. It's one of the best fats. The fatty acid profile is one which matches our skin, and properties in tallow that you just cannot find in other sources of fat. It's non-comedogenic. It doesn't clog your pores. It's very compatible. It's just wonderful. And I know it sounds weird if you're telling somebody you're putting beef fat on your skin, but it's rendered. So what that means is I get beef suet. So beef suet is the fat that's found around the kidneys of a cow. And then with that, there's a purification process, which I just do in a crock pot and sea salt. And again, you want to make sure you're sourcing your sea salt. I use Redmond sea salt. I trust them. And so there's a rendering process where you're rendering the impurities out of the fat. And then that's consuming. And then it's with that tallow, once I get that beef smell out of it, because you don't want to be smelling like beef, is when I will then incorporate it into these products. And it's amazing. I've made all sorts of things with it, even some soaps. But right now my farmer doesn't have any more suet available. I bought the last of it. So I'm waiting until July. I have ordered from other farms in Texas, in Georgia. They're pretty popular farms like White Oak Pastures, Slanker grass-fed meats. So I have made more tallow products, but I really like to buy locally as much as I can to support my local community, as I do with all the ingredients I try to use.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I love about your product is it's homemade, it's handmade, it's, small batch. These are things that you can't get with big corporate companies, and you're certainly not going to get the high quality because when somebody really puts, I mean, all the way down to your packaging, when you receive the package, it's like this beautiful packaging and it just shows you that like love was put into it, not just these healthy ingredients. So now what's the significance of the name Flo's Daughter?
So my mother's name was Florence, and she herself was an artist, a craftswoman. And she sold her product. She made something, it's called hat boxes. They're band boxes, and they were very popular in the 1700s, and women would put their hats. My mother's English, very into hats and teas. And with her passing, I just, and simultaneously coming up with trying to make my own products more for my own consumption or to share as gifts with my friends and family. I just had this moment where I wanted to do something in her name and in her memory and just carry on her love, and everything she did was out of love. I'm so grateful that I had a mom like her, and she's still with me. And I'm in a family full of artists. My oldest daughter's an artist, my sister's an artist, my grandparents. And it's just something that inspired me to then move this, not from something that I would just be gifting to friends and family, but to put out into my community.
Yeah, I'm excited to help push it forward because like I said, anybody who puts their heart and soul into a product and I know it's quality, I want to promote it to my listeners and my clients. So I know I'll put the link for your Etsy store in there, and we have a promo code that's Jodelle10, so they can use that link and the code. So I appreciate that. Now, do you want to showcase some of your products? Because like specifically, if I was going to ask you, let's say I have somebody that's really struggling with acne, which of your products would help with that you would think?
Yeah, so there's, and I'm still learning a lot about that. There are various fats and oils specific toward, that can help with eczema, psoriasis, more anti-inflammatory, and with acne. The one that I found is most sensitive skin would be jojoba, which actually isn't an oil, it's actually a wax. Okay. That's wonderful. And with acne, I would probably gear towards more products. Tallow is wonderful. That won't clog pores. And maybe not be so heavy with the cocoa butters, the heavier butters. But I have here, I will just move my computer a little bit.
Sure.
But I have various things here. So I have some soaps that I just made that I've actually fully cured. It takes about 4 weeks to cure soaps. Now this is new. This is a goat milk soap.
Oh, nice.
And I source my goat milk from a farmer. I get a delivery up here in Rhode Island every couple of weeks. So it's raw organic goat's milk that I use for these as well. So I have various soaps. Some of them are made with essential oils. I do have one, this is for a baby, for anybody. Oh, there's no essential oils whatsoever. And I can open up the top of this. This is Tallow Balm, one of my favorite. Again, some with essential oils, and with your inspiration, Jodelle, I'm making every product I'm making without any essential oils.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, okay. And I have some lip balms that I've made. And these products are not just for women. I've had inquiries where people have asked me, do you make anything for men? I am going to be, and men's skin is different than women's. So I am going to be coming up with some type of a serum that's more geared towards a men's face, but women could use it also.
Sure.
I've done anti-aging, which means not that we don't age, but maybe we can just age a little more gracefully.
Sure.
And these have a combination of essential oils that I have researched to be beneficial for the face. I've done healing salves. Yeah. This is a calendula salve. And this again, I infused calendula. I did a calendula infused coconut oil for this with organic calendula flowers in my crock pot. And I just recently made I don't know if I sent you this one, Jodelle. This is a eucalyptus and chamomile.
Yes, you did. And I really
Okay.
love the whippy feel of that. That
Yeah,
is so whippy. Like it just goes on like it's like
a
whipped butter.
nice.
So
And with that, this one I did do, I did not infuse the eucalyptus. I infused the chamomile. I did have to add the eucalyptus essential oil. And I have to let these products, the oils really cool down to about 79 degrees before you can even add essential oils, because that the temperature will just cause it to evaporate, basically.
yeah, I really love that one for like if my daughter ever comes down with, like a chest cold, I would love to rub that on there. I mean, the chamomile would calm her and then the eucalyptus would open up the chest. So if somebody's struggling with respiratory things, I think that one would be ideal.
That's a great one. And in that you mentioned your daughter and children, and on Etsy right now, I do disclose certain essential oils, and I will tell you the ones that are kids safe. And I do go with a reputable company that I use for the essential oils. They're the real deal. So most of them, perfectly fine from the ages of 2 and up. And I would put a disclaimer on each of the products where clary sage, you don't want to use for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. I have an anti-aging serum.
Nice.
I have, this is a whipped tallow sugar scrub.
Oh, good.
I have, this is just whipped tallow body butter. Now this one here has cocoa butter with it. My next batch, I probably won't do the cocoa butter just to make it for a more smoother application. But this is, in the summertime, this would like melt a little bit, but
yeah,
it's still cool up here where I am.
Now, what about somebody with like a cellulite? Do you have a product that you really love for cellulite?
Yes, that is and I did not bring that up here, but I did name it Booty Butter. And that's a combination of some essential oils, including grapefruit essential oil.
Yeah.
There's black pepper. There's a few other ones. And that again would just help with the appearance. And again, as you know, Jodelle, it's just not about what we're putting on our skin. It's what we're bringing into our skin. It's our lifestyle, our rest, our, EMF exposure. In fact, I should have these on right now. These are my yellows.
There you go.
I should have these on.
Awesome.
These are my yellows, which I normally have on with the computer. But all these things like this can be, help with anti-aging and, help with, and again, what we're putting on our bodies, if we're putting toxic chemicals and preservatives on our bodies, that's going to get absorbed into our skin. And, what creates that cellulite or that appearance would be, the fat and the connective tissue and all of that stuff.
For sure. Like you mentioned, it's really like we have to do all the, normal sunlight exposure, EMF blocking, eating well, but skincare, a really good skincare, I think is a wonderful adjunct to the aesthetics that a woman is trying to get to. We're all looking for that, like you said, maybe anti-aging or positive aging to where we want to look good as we know we're going to age and we want to feel good. And that's why I love your products, is because they really have both of those elements to them.
Thank you. Yeah. And as women, we just love we like lotions and things like that. So.
Yeah. At one time, I'm sure we were all like Bath and Body Works freak out people, but you couldn't pay me enough money to walk in that store now. So
buy one of those stores.
Yeah, I know. I get like an instant headache. So
it is amazing how though back when, we are resilient, but as we get older, I just can't imagine it. I mean, when I was in my 20s, slathering it on, but I was also getting migraines. I was also having other symptoms that I look back, and when I eliminated these things from my life, made a big difference with just how I feel overall.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So as we wrap up here, I'm going to have the show notes to contain your link and the promo code, as well as like you guys check out Morley Robbins' book I was talking about at the beginning, Cure Your Fatigue. And hopefully I'll have him on the podcast to talk more about this. But Rachel, thank you so much for today. I was so excited to share your products with the world, and I hope that people will give them a try because they're not going to be disappointed.
Thank you so much. And I'll let you know when I get my website up and as things roll out, and maybe we can do this again.
Absolutely. I would love to see more of your work, your artistic flair when it comes to skincare. So
thank you so much.
Okay. Bye for now. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey guys, are you in the Midwest? Are you in the East Coast? Are you in Brazil? Are you in Asia? It doesn't matter where you are. I would love to work with you as your nutritionist. And so just to let you know, I offer nutrition consulting worldwide. You can work with me anywhere. I have clients all over the world, and I love to spend time over the internet with each one of them, figuring out their specific needs. So your specific needs, what deficiencies are you having? What symptoms are you dealing with daily that we can address for you? So that's what I, as a nutrition detective, like to get to the bottom of. I ask you a ton of questions. We meet over Zoom or over FaceTime, whatever is convenient for you, and we discuss all of your specific needs. If you would like to work with me, just shoot me an email, getfitwithjodelle@gmail.com. That's getfit, getfitwithjodelle@gmail.com, and let's set up a 15-minute free call for you just to see if I'm a good fit for you as a nutrition therapy practitioner. Again, email me getfitwithjodelle@gmail.com, and let's get you set up feeling better, lose that unwanted weight that you have going on, lose those symptoms that you have hanging around, and optimize your health as best we can.